a little off in the headphones. I'll be fine.
Okay.
Yep.
You will be fine. Welcome to the Backpack Show, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, that sounded really, yeah. So
You always do that. It never sounds like entirely authentic, but I really am excited about the Backpack Show because we bring you insights about success from unusual places. And I think today's going to cause a major case of career envy in a lot of cases. We're going to spark a whole lot of lifetime changes.
I've been looking forward to today. I can't wait to hear Michelle McLaughlin talk about piano business. I cannot wait. And if that's not enough, we could talk to a financial dominatrix,
Mistress Harley. So that's what's interesting. We've had one professional dominatrix on, and then I learned about Mistress Harley, and that financial domination is this whole separate area of expertise. And I was like, now that is something I need to know about. Like, you're a bad person. Give me $500.
You're a bad person. Do you take Stripe?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a day. And remember, there's so much business to be had here, and there's so much to learn. Carrie, it's a day.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Carrie Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
So we have Michelle showing up. Good morning, Michelle. Hi, Chloe. Yay. Over in Scotland. This is my biological father, Steve Brogan, and his wife, Diane Brogan.
You're ridiculous. Because your parents.
My parents.
Is it going to be strange talking to a financial dominatrix in front of your parents? Well, they were here for the sexologist.
Not unless my dad's a client, but I think we'll figure it out pretty quick. But I think I want to talk to Michelle first because I want to hear a little bit about the land of piano. And I took piano. I mean, I think everyone's kind of forced to take piano at one point in their life if their parents are mean. And I went to Leo Pepin up on Sand Hill in Augusta, Maine, and Leo taught me the scales and this horrible book that I had to read from, and coincidentally hated piano until I joined a band much later. So there's ways to love it and there's ways to hate it, and I just have to know what's the story. So let's grab Michelle. Let's start there. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
The best. Both of our guests today, by the way, are here from time zones pretty early. So my mom and dad are in the West Coast, so they get the same kind of feel you do. But I always like to acknowledge that because I feel that you're there.
Yeah.
What makes you go from, when was your first piano lesson? How young were you when this started to maybe be a thing for you?
I didn't take piano lessons. Well, that's a lie. I did take piano lessons for 2 lessons and then I hated it. And so I'm completely self-taught and can't read music, learned how to play by ear. And yeah, I just love
too. I played by ear because I couldn't stand all the waiting around to learn new things.
Yeah.
If I play your Monday morning improv, am I going to be copyright stricken by anybody?
No.
All right.
I own all my own copyrights, so you have my permission.
We've only been struck a few times so far by guests, so hang tight.
No, it was accidental.
You say. I'm going to skip just a little. It's really rude, but hang on. there we go. I'm gonna let it stop there for now, but that's you could find that on the tubes of you pretty easily. But Michelle has this music available on every platform. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's you taught yourself to speak. You taught yourself to play. You taught yourself all the music. You're doing a lot of improv, and you decided, I think I can make a business about this. Talk about how that started. How did you decide that you can actually not just put your hat out on the sidewalk?
So it started off as Christmas presents for friends and family. My mom wanted me to make her a cassette tape back in the day. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to make her a tape of music that I had written, I might as well make some for everyone. And so I made 30 or 40 copies of this really makeshift cassette tape way back at the very beginning. And I passed that out as Christmas presents. And the feedback was so overwhelming, just positive and inspiring, that I thought, I'm going to start doing this every year. And I started releasing music and releasing albums every year as Christmas gifts. And then I read a book, David Nebu's book on how to market your music online. So I put it on iTunes and joined a company called CD Baby, who distributes my music out to, all the different places. And that was back in 2000 and 2001. And in 2007, I was making enough money from album sales and iTunes downloads that I quit my full-time project management job to do music full-time. And so I've been doing that full-time ever since 2007, and it's been amazing.
What kind of project management were you doing? Like, what kind of organization?
It was a subsidiary of General Electric, and we did large commercial and industrial electrical projects.
I love it. I love it. So I was a project manager for a little bit, and I love it because people must contact you from your old gig and say, I had no idea, all the time, right?
Or how do I learn?
So yeah, they've watched me progress over the years.
How fun is that? How do you start finally making the real money? Look, someone in this audience plays reasonably well. Not Michelle McLaughlin well, but they're not bad. Someone plays reasonably well. How do they start making, stay home, quit your GE job money doing this kind of a gig? Let us have it.
24/7 job. It is a lot of marketing, a lot of promotion, a lot of engagement on social media. And then it's, engaging through your newsletter. It's doing shows across the country and gaining fans in person. And then it's creating playlists and trying to get yourself noticed on Spotify and Apple Music and, YouTube and all of that. It's growing your fan base and engaging consistently with the fans who, communicate with you.
There's a lot of marketing in there.
A lot.
Yeah, for a project manager turned musician.
Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error. I've spent the last 21 years just, trying and failing and trying again and working, and, it worked. And over the years, I've learned so much. And the music industry, it changes so much. The landscape is constantly changing, and new platforms are coming in. Old platforms are, dying. And so you find what works for you and your music and your fans. And then you just kind of, you roll with that and get rid of the stuff that doesn't work, and then, work on the things that do work.
The thing I'm thinking about, to your point, it's so much marketing, so much work. We had Sir Mix-a-Lot on, the 80s rapper for Baby's Got Back and all that. And Sir Mix-a-Lot, he made a lot of money his first album and lost all the money because what do? Like, you make your money, you spend it. He buys himself a Lamborghini, maybe two, I think it was, because he was a lifelong Lamborghini fan. But he finally gets the money, he just pick one up. And I'm like, I'll get another one. Why not? He lost all his money. So then when he came back, he started learning stuff about licensing. He started learning about being able to put his music to work for him in a bunch of other places. So thus, people like Nicki Minaj do the song Anaconda, and he gets a bag of money for that just by taking just a tiny piece of his song. Yeah. That sounds like part of what you're doing as well. Like you're not making, it's not just pure straight make, perform, sell. It's, there's some other kind of business angles to that. Are you working towards that? Are you there already? What's that part of your business?
So the licensing part is not something that I have done a lot with. I do have people that want to use my music in film or in, their wedding photography website or short films, a lot of short films. figure skating competitions on television, that kind of thing. But you know, as an artist, you can actually make a lot of money if you put your music into, you know, licensing companies that farm your music out for certain, you know, certain television, film, commercials, that kind of thing. And a lot of musicians do really well in that arena.
And you're not in that mode yet. You're thinking, you know, I don't want to take that swing. I don't want to suddenly find myself selling deodorant or like, you know, erectile meds or something.
The most relaxing deodorant.
Right? No, I've been doing well on my own, just with, you know, the streaming platforms. And so there's no reason for me to, you know, to start, you know, trying to find an avenue in that direction. But it's not ever something that's off the table. It's just something I have a lot of things that are on the back burner, things that I think about, things that are goals, but then they're just, you know, they're sort of on the back burner, and eventually I get to them.
So many people say they don't make any money from streaming, though. Even people who are like mainstream pop artists and stuff will say, I only get, you know, a fraction of a cent or whatever every time it gets streamed, and I have this much and I only make this much. But you're making a living at it. How is it working better for you?
The benefit for me is that I'm 100% independent. So I own both sides. You get paid on two sides. There's the songwriter side and then the copyright owner publisher side. And I own both of those. So I get 100% of my royalty. So now a royalty is small. On any given platform, you're probably only making 0.001 to 0.004 per spin. So that's every time a person listens to a song. Like if you listen to it and then Chris listens to it, that's 2 spins. So I'm getting that 0.00, we'll say 0.001 every single time I get a spin. Well, if you have millions of people listening and spinning your music, that adds up to, you know, a check to pay the utility bill.
Wow.
I feel like you should stick around and listen to Mistress Harley. I think she gets a few more dollars a spin than you do. Different spin. Your
different spin.
You have on your YouTube really good songs like "Sad Instrumental Piano Playlist Part 2," which is accurate. Do you ever just bang it out? Do you ever just like do some boogie woogie or something? Do you ever just go crazy or like 9 Inch Nails it or something? What happens?
I do have a lot of powerful music, heavy music. I have a piano that growls really beautifully, and I love to just dig into that bass. And so I do have, my music ranges from really sad and quiet and, you know, contemplative to powerful and angry and frustrated, and then everything in between. It just depends on my given mood or what I've experienced and what I'm writing about, you know, during that album process.
Sing We Now of Christmas. See, here you are branching out and making Christmas
holiday
tunes
music.
And things. Yeah. Joyful and happy piano music. By the way, fewer views than your sad ones.
Yes.
A billion for your sad
music. They love the sad music.
Oh my God.
Because they're in a mood and they want to stay there.
Yeah. Sad music, you hear it, but you connect to sad music a lot, you know, more individually than you do happy music. Most people, at least.
So I was just looking at these. Carrie points out I'm not sharing your screen, and I realized I'm just looking for me. I'm just looking like, what
Like,
do I want to listen to?
Why don't you
later?
share with the class, Mr. Brogan?
No. You've done this out and about pre-quarantine. You were out there with normal human beings and, you know, in places. What's an example besides the money? Because, you know, that's how that works. What's an example of a good gig for you? What makes you come off that stage and go, yes? And then where are the ones where you're like, never mind, I'm going to be a project manager?
Smiling faces is my favorite. If I'm looking out at the audience and telling my stories I tell the story that inspired the music with every song that I play. And so it's very interactive for me with the audience. And so when I have smiling faces or people with their eyes closed, just really taking it in. Anytime I can make somebody cry from the stage, I get really excited about that.
Tears. I love tears.
Yeah.
Mistress Harley said something similar.
I was thinking Mistress Harley loves tears. Yeah. A whole different kind. You know, jokes aside though, I mean, that's how some of this works. The other thought I was wondering through the whole process is, as I was looking at your thumbnails on YouTube, music is this strangely now visual thing. You know, you have to put up pictures of you. You have to put up these, like, you know, I'm a wistful musician person kind of pictures. You're project manager. Like, you know, your background is this thing where that was not what you did, but you have to dress up. You have to beautify yourself. You have to like look off dreamily. How is that for you? Like, how did you deal with your like this is part of the business, I got to do it? Or did you just go with it? Like, perfect, I'm just going to make these kinds of pictures.
Yeah, I photo shoots and then I had some guidance from a marketing team in regards to the titles with sad and happy music and all that. But you have to just find what works in the moment and then completely grab a hold of that and do that in the moment. And then when it changes, start doing the new thing that is new in the moment, and just constantly be on top of that landscape.
When I look at your thumbnails, I have these you looking off into the future, and I've got you sort of smiling. I've got you just really at work at the piano, and I was just thinking, it's got to be a feeling like, come on, Michelle, you gotta make this kind of face, or hurry up and emote. It's just different than what it used to be. You could just play the music.
Yeah. Like, do you enjoy it still now that it's work? Now it's officially.
Yeah, it's my happy place. It's my therapy, really. I always joke that the piano is my therapist, because that's where I go to let all my sorrows and sadness and frustration, everything out onto the keys. But I mean, I can't even imagine. People always ask, are you going to retire when you're 65 and go live on a beach somewhere? And I'm never going to retire, because I'm never going to stop playing. I'm never going to stop composing, and everything that I do, compose and release, I'm just going to put it out there. So I just don't see myself ever stopping this job. And it's not really a job. It's just a thing that I do. It's part of me.
So I asked you, you're in the process of moving, which is never fun. And I asked you the question, well, did you at least have a piano out? And you're like, oh, just my 9-foot baby grand. How many, do you have like 100 pianos, or do you have like 6 pianos? Like, what's your, like, guitar people? They seem to have, like, the guitars mate when you're not looking. And so you have 16 of them. Does that happen with pianos?
Yeah, I have a full-size concert grand. It's a Fazioli, which is a handmade Italian grand, and it's my favorite piano. I have that in my music studio, and then I have a Roland RD700SX digital keyboard that I have, if I want to do any kind of, quiet playing or orchestrated stuff, which is something that I always dream of working on and then never really follow through with. But someday.
Do you ever just bang it out on a toy piano at like a Toys R Us?
Like Schroeder. We just had someone on who's making an art installation out of the one thing that survived a house getting demolished by the Nashville tornado. It was their family's baby grand piano.
Oh, wow.
The whole house is leveled. The piano was left standing.
That's
as if nothing had happened.
It was. I mean, it was water damaged and stuff, so they didn't restore it for playing, but they turned it into an art exhibit because it wasn't broken.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Well, Michelle, we're flipping you backstage. Stick around. Boop. And we got to run through some ads. And then we'll come and ask you some questions for.
I hope people are already following all of our playlists, because that is amazing music.
There's a lot. And our financial dominatrix, Mistress Harley, is up next. I cannot wait to have 80,000 questions. But here's how I make some of my financials. Pay me. Go to pub-site.com. Go to pub-site.com, and you, as an author, you can set up your site really, really, really fast, and you can have your book promoted really easy. It's super darn easy. Pub-site.com. $19.99 after the 14-day free trial, where you won't do anything with it anyway. StreamYard. The people at StreamYard have me running in their ads. So if you are a not paid YouTube user, you probably see me a lot these days. See Brogan.me/StreamYard. Evidently, I'm going to be one of their StreamYard speakers at some event or something like that.
An events or thing again.
If you don't want to see our faces, we're a little yucky in the morning, maybe. We're any place you could podcast, kind of like Michelle McLaughlin's on all of those platforms. I'm on all those platforms for free because I'm doing it wrong. God, I need Mistress Harley. Castos.com is who sponsors it. She's our host. Castos is our host.
She's a jealous mistress.
Looking right at Mistress Harley backstage. She's my host. Castos.com is my host, and I'm going to blush about that. And then this website is hosted on the backpackshow.online is hosted on .online. So if you want a cool domain, because you could always have another domain or two, you could have Michelle McLaughlin online. It's 99 cents if you use the code Chris at checkout for.
I tried to get your mom is .online and it was already taken.
That's very sad, really.
I'm just letting you know.
One last piece of news. Carrie's Sausage Closet is closing. Carrie at chrisbrogan.com.
I have like a sausage coupon drawer, though. So I can still maybe hook you up.
Canadians, if you want sausage, Carrie just brokered a deal with the Great White North. So totally true. They were like, I don't even know how I'm going to manage that.
There's Johnsonville, Canada, and it is like its own entity. So
Johnsonville, Canada. Who'd have
Yeah, I
known?
doubled
We're
the sausage.
pals with the guy who runs the company. We couldn't even get this sausage.
I'm like, for real though, I need the sausage. They're like, all right.
Sausage is coming north. So, all right. This is half our Canadians right now getting excited about sausage. So,
Can you blame them?
Speaking of excitement, we have to talk to Mistress Harley, who is way up before her bedtime in Beverly Hills. Did you even go to bed? I mean, that's a good, reasonable first question. Or
I did, and I'm going to go back to bed after this.
That's a good idea.
Sleep is the best. Mistress Harley, so glad to have you on the show. Carrie found you because she's always looking for guests that have something interesting to add to the universe. And what I said long before you even came on is that we're here for it. Like, we want to hear what this is about. And I want to know first, did you start with financial domination stuff, or did you have other avenues and someone said, you could do this so much easier with way less muss and fuss if you do it like this?
With technology or something.
I, like you, was working as a project manager, a technical project manager in the games industry. I had been working in Silicon Valley for almost a decade, and I lived in San Francisco and was kind of exploring the alternate lifestyle scene. And through your standard supply and demand economics chain, people started offering me money to dominate them. And so I started dabbling a little bit, started making some money. And then I learned about financial domination, which is where a submissive male provides money to a dominant female just because it gives him pleasure to do so. And I thought, well, I'm born for that. And just like Michelle, I'm on Spotify, YouTube. I have my music on all those places because I have an album as well. So I really just thought, this is brilliant, and started making so much money that I started teaching other women to do it. Because why work if you're hot enough to just take money from guys?
And guys are so dumb that they're so down for this. Like, you almost don't have to explain that this is for fellas, because women would be like, you do what? And that would be about the end of the conversation.
Well, that's interesting to say, because maybe there are some female clients.
There are some female clients. I actually not only mentor and help other dominants learn how to be a financial dominatrix, but I actually find that I have quite a few trans female clients that want to learn how to do all the things that maybe they didn't learn how to do growing up, how to do your hair, how to do your makeup. And they worship me for the privilege of learning all of my feminine secrets. So
that makes all the sense in the world. I never even thought of that. That's so smart.
So anybody from your project management life come in for an appointment? Like,
actually, yes. Funny story. The last company that I worked at before I transitioned into this career, there was a guy that worked at the same company as me, but after I worked there, he sat at my old desk. And my old coworkers were like, why do you hide your tattoos? There used to be a girl that sat there that has like full body tattoos. And then they showed him a picture of me and he was like, oh my God, that's Mistress Harley.
One of those moments where you're outing yourself almost and you just smile politely. Oh,
you're
look
like,
at her tattoos.
Very nice. Never seen those.
Yeah, it happens more than you think.
You offer so many different kinds of services, and I was impressed by sort of not only that there's upsells and whatnot. So you can have a cam session, and a cam session runs $10 a minute. You have to have a minimum of 50, which I get. So they have to go 5 minutes minimum with you. But you can request a costume if you throw another $100 on. That's pretty interesting. How often do people take that, or how often do people try to cheap out on the way to getting what they want out of that experience?
Probably 50-50, upgrade or cheap out. Especially, you have to consider that I do not do nudity at all. I might wear like a little skimpy bikini outfit, but I don't show anything that you would think a traditional porn person does. And so requesting an outfit is like, I really want you to wear that ruffly shirt you wore on TV. It's not like topless or any of that stuff. And all of my clients, they know that these are kind of the adages that I go by. Even one of the first lines in my songs is, I ain't one of them internet hoes. I don't even got to take off my clothes. So...
Well, you're not a hoe at all, right? So you might make them beg to do stuff, but you're not going to actually do stuff.
Oh God, no. No one gets to touch me. To even be in the same room with me is like starting $5,000, and you still don't get to touch me. That's for the privilege of handing me your money.
So I love that these guys on the one hand will be like, I took her to dinner and I didn't get anything, and wow, women are awful. And then turn right around and use the same credit card to pay you to not give them anything.
Well, I want to go a little further with that, because the mindset might be eluding some people. You have clients, and by the way, a lot of your clients are plain old normal human beings, and a lot of people misunderstand that as well. They're like, this guy's crazy. But these are like regular people, some who have very important jobs, and the weight of the world is on them. What release, besides physiological, what release are they getting mentally? What are they getting from this emotionally? Why do they want to give you their money?
Well, if you think about real power exchange, people think about BDSM as like whips and chains and all that kind of traditional tie me up, beat me, whip me stuff. But real power is money. Everyone knows that. I mean, you look at politics, you look at your job, you look at your family. Politics is money and power is money. And so people who have a lot of resources sometimes feel burdened by the stress of actually having to manage those resources. I, as a rich person, have occasionally been like, oh my God, do I have too much money in the bank? Should I be doing something else with it? What about bond ladders? And so I think some of these people actually find catharsis in divesting themselves of the shackles of wealth, the responsibility of money management, budgeting, keeping track of their own lives. Again, power exchange. So if I make a budget for you and you know you have to eat ramen noodles every night for a month to pay me, that actually is like wearing the same outfit every day. You don't have to think about it anymore. That's off your plate.
So I'm thinking a lot. I was just thinking to myself that a lot of, I wonder if the itch that gets scratched is a little bit different sometimes for the people who come to you for humiliation, more like generally, because you do that also. So there's financial, right? Or you did. So there's financial domination, then there's humiliation. And even now you're doing it kind of at a distance. How does that type of power dynamic work at a distance?
Well, just to be clear, I almost never see people in person, and even before the pandemic, never did, because you have to be very wealthy to even manage that. But I think that for some people, it is humiliating to give a woman money knowing that she will never touch you, you will never touch her, you will never be in the same room as her. But for other people, that is relief and maybe sexual and even exciting to know you're getting ripped off. Some people have a scam fetish. My #1 best-selling book on Amazon is called The Scam Book, the book for guys who love to lose. You open it up and it's empty. It says this is a scam. It has 5-star reviews.
Oh my gosh.
There's one 1-star review, and the person is like, this is a scam. And I laugh and I laugh and I laugh.
That's really funny.
It literally says right on the cover of the book, instant scam.
Instant scam.
Oh my God. No, my first book will be.
I'm in love with this. Very interesting. Power exchange in that way. That's teaching me something new, Mistress Harley, says Michelle. Other Michelle. So I have 1,000 questions. The scene in San Francisco, I imagine, is like the scene in a lot of places where there are the people who they do it because they're into it. They just want to play, and it's just power exchange of whatever kind they want. It's whatever they take for the direction of it. There's a schism there between that and people who do it for money. So yes. Pro-doms are often looked down upon by the lifestylers and that sort of a thing. I'm curious your take on that, and I know your take because you're a pro. But also, what's the sort of mental math you do between how do you set up the rest of your life around this? I guess you know what I'm saying.
Well, I have a really good 401k and an accountant and a money manager. Really, of course, there is a division, like you said, between professionals and lifestylers. But in my mind, it's kind of like people give away stuff for free that they could be monetizing. And in our modern world, we all understand that our time is worth money. And so just go on Twitter, you can see a million girls posting their nudes for free. And I think, girls, you are undercutting the market. Like, you should be monetizing your assets instead of posting thirsty tweets, like be making money. And so I just feel like these lifestylers think that they've somehow imbued their sexual kinks with purity because they're not doing it for money. But we actually know that anything that's worth doing is worth doing for money because our economy, our society has shown us that.
So do your assets depreciate as you get older, or do you just move into like a niche category or something? Like when you're, say, much older, are you going to still be doing this? How's that going to work?
Well, I've invested heavily in my assets. And as I get older, I actually think that my clientele will grow because I am a social media genius. You probably found me because my SEO is so good. And of course, I've been on TV internationally, domestically. I've been interviewed by magazines, websites, everywhere. I'm on IMDb. I'm kind of inescapable. And I've done that on purpose, is because when my brand is inescapable, then anyone who's Googling, how do I give a woman my money? There I am waiting for them.
So people will be like, so people will say like, I want to be a Mistress Harley type or something. That's what now you're like a category.
And we haven't even touched on, I invented the fetish of high-tech domination, dominating people through their phones, computers, and social media. And so, yeah, I hear all the time from girls like, I just want to be like a tech dom like you, like where I type in the computer and guys just give me money. And so that's what happens.
There's an unfairness to, we were talking about this about Instagram. There's an unfairness to the fact that you keep getting flagged and knocked off the platform for different things, even though there's not a stitch of nudity. There's
That's
curves.
Right.
Clearly, we just all look, so we all see what we see. But they're knocking you off just because they're upset about the fact that you do what you do and you sell, even though you're utterly straightforward about it all the way through. You must fight that at every turn, including financial reception, all that.
Well, I mean, don't get me started on how our society likes to illegalize certain forms of work to make those populations be less powerful. So, you know, the government last year passed SESTA and FOSTA, which were supposedly anti-human trafficking laws, but actually affected the sex work community. Pornhub went down because they weren't following 2257 compliance regulations, which require you to be able to document that anyone in a pornographic film or picture is over the age of 18. Something, by the way, I was screaming about for ages. Like, how do they get away with this? Because I have lawyers. I actually make sure that my business is protected by all the laws enshrined in the United States to protect business. So if someone rich like Warren Buffett or Donald Trump can shield their activities using these methods, then why can't I?
I think people don't understand. Actually, I'm going to point out, Coach Woodard is saying here, I thought I was going to get financial advice. You can. You just have to start by filling out the slave application. It's $100 to fill out the app, by the way, Coach Woodard. But I'll teach you how to buy a quiet credit card. I don't think people understand too that there's a performance involved in this as well. I don't think people understand that you amp all of the pieces of you up so that you're living it. But this is a performance, like a lot of things. There's a massive amount of entertainment that separates you from someone just showing up being ready to take a credit card. I don't think you get enough credit for it.
Thank you. I strongly believe in the Ferengi rules of acquisition. So I tend to follow that as a form of business advice. And, I really model myself as a businesswoman because I am. And so you're right. There is a performative aspect in that I show up, I look beautiful, and I tell people to pay me, and they do it. And so that is a cycle that reinforces itself. But I also feel that as a legitimate business owner, and I pay taxes, it's a way of perpetuating this lifestyle that I want, and that so many people want. So many people want to just get paid for existing, and I found a way to do that, and so I'm pretty satisfied with my existence in that way.
There's a lot of showmanship. Most people who exist are like sitting on ass watching TV, not like, putting on a show all the time. So there is
I'm
a
a
difference.
millennial, and so we grew up in a kind of outward-facing social media showman type society. I don't care who you're looking at on Instagram. They have amplified their lives in some way. They are selectively editing to show you the best cake they ever baked. They don't show you the 10 bad cakes they baked. They don't tell you about the 10 fights they had with their boyfriend. Everyone is selectively performing parts of their life. And like RuPaul says, everyone's born naked and everything else is drag. And I feel the same way about society. We're all like weird apes wearing clothes. So everything that we do is performative. The shirt you chose to wear today, how you did your hair today, how you did your makeup today. So as we interact with each other and in society, we are performing socially. There's this book by Ulrich Beck called The Brave New World of Work. He's a German sociologist, but he goes deep into this idea of how we socially interact to create economics and work and jobs. And he does a great explanation of how the individual, the business, and the government have to performatively interact with each other in order to create society.
You have an album, and you are also listed as one of the top 5 rappers from Violent J, from Insane Clown Posse. What's your music like? Talk a little bit about your musical side of you.
I mean, most of my music is about female supremacy, female domination. I feel like the rap game especially has been dominated by men. They want to talk about bitches and hoes and like think of every rap song with misogynistic like male overtones that you've ever heard. And my music is all about how to be a bad bitch, and not a bad bitch in the way that like Cardi B was a stripper, which I think talk about like performative and for men. That's a little bit different. And I wanted to kind of put a blueprint out there of like how to pimp, how to take men's money, how to blackmail dudes, how to make them wear ladies' underwear, because these are the things men come to me asking for. So there's obviously a market for it.
No question about it. I think there's so much. Michelle says, you've proven the point, never judge a book by its cover. So evidently, I guess that's
the scam book. But the cover represents exactly what's in the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, also, I have huge boobs and a master's degree in information technology. That's a thing that people have a hard time putting together in their brains.
Well, I was going to ask that question a little while ago, and then I went down the question about the rap music, which was just that you get underestimated all the time. People must absolutely mistake the look and I was going to say the look and feel, the imagery that you put together, and mistake that for where you are on the playing board.
Absolutely. And I use that to my advantage. When someone underestimates an enemy, it makes an opening for the enemy to attack. So Sun Tzu, Art of War.
Oh, I was right there with you. All right. We're going to bring back Michelle McLaughlin. We're going to talk about, maybe how does one, move from ukulele into piano? And
I would love to know.
I think it's a good way to look at it. Michelle, you ready for us? Oh, she might be frozen.
How do I unfreeze myself?
Just reset the window. It's like a browser window.
I'm gonna blank you out like that, and you just refresh your browser. I thought, man, she is standing. She's perfectly still back there.
But I love that what you both have in common is that you found something you love doing and turned it into a way of making money, and it doesn't feel like work. It's like you do a lot, you put a lot into it, a lot of yourself into it. But it's not like a 9-to-5 job. Punch in, punch out.
God, no, noon to midnight.
and you escaped project management. So that's 3 of us on this one call that escaped project management. One of us who escaped law.
I was a certified Scrum Master.
I have a friend who pretty much wrote Scrum. He's like the 5th Beatle of Scrum. I'll have to connect you. You'd love him.
Sure.
So, Michelle, what do you think? How do we go from ukulele to piano? What's the curve?
I think you can do both. You can play piano and ukulele. You can add any kind of instrumentation, and you connect, Mistress Harley. You connect with your audience in a very unique way, and that's the key to having an audience. Is if you can make people feel something, if you can grab people emotionally, or make them relate to you in some way, then they're a fan and they're with you and they become part of your tribe. So, it doesn't matter what instrument you're playing, as long as you have that ability to, connect with somebody in that way.
There's such a win here. Mr. Harley, you don't do actual like dancing performances and things like that, I'm presuming. I have to imagine it's a straight conversational kind of interaction, yes?
Yes, I do not do public performances. I do sometimes do talks. Like I gave a talk at ACT Lab in Texas before the pandemic. I did a talk at DomCon about how to technologically control people's machines. I think of it more as education as opposed to performance. I don't perform for anyone. They perform for me.
Love it.
Is there ever a day where you're just like, I'm going to sit here in my loungewear and you're going to deal with it? Like, that's what's happening today.
5 days out of 7. I can tell guys sometimes they're paying $5 a minute to talk to me on the phone. And I'm like, I am wearing a fleece unicorn onesie.
I'm wearing a really old college sweatshirt that I probably should have thrown out like 5 years ago.
Absolutely, because they need to be reminded that I'm the client. They pay me, but I'm the client. It's non-traditional, but that's what I like about it.
Are there other financial models, Michelle, do you think, to this whole process, like your 0.003 cents a sale and all that? Do you ever think that people could buy like a concert goer pack or a streaming pack or something like that? Are there other ways that you're looking at putting new models to play?
Well, it's in the streaming world, you're kind of stuck with what the streaming platform offers. But there are subscription-based services, and then as just a touring musician or a musician that sells, I sell sheet music and CDs and stuff from my website. I can sell T-shirts and mugs or whatever else I want to put out there. Bundles. I can sell subscriber services on my website too. People want to be able to interact with me, kind of on a one-on-one sort of situation. There's lots of different ways that you can, basically engage with those fans.
I see that. We have come to that part of the show where we have 2 more things to do. And one of them is our person of the day. Oops.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I had one person of the day all the way through, and then I really liked what Linda Lepecki said, which was just that life is a performance, and Mistress Harley is a smart businesswoman. And I'd say that's true of both. I think, watching Michelle just say, I think I'm done this project management baloney. I mean, any day that I don't have to make a Gantt chart is a win. So I'm with the both of you on that one. In fact, I'm just doing a sort of edge of project management for a client right now. And I'm just like, please don't make me use anything. So the best they get is like Trello and Post-it notes. That's all they get. So here's one question we ask every single person who's on the show, which is what goes in your backpack? And that question is basically anything physical. It could be metaphorical. Carrie, what's a physical thing that goes in a backpack?
A book you hate because eventually you'll read it and learn something from it.
Nice. And
it's the only book you got.
Perhaps?
Kindness.
Oh, well, Naz, of all the days to join late, you missed Michelle McLaughlin's incredible piano work. You don't even know what you missed, brother.
Okay. You're going to have to back it up.
All right.
Watch it.
Back it up. I know that song. Yep. Michelle, we need to know, Michelle McLaughlin, what is something that people should expect to find in your backpack?
It's my emotions and my feelings and the place that I go to pull from the musical universe and bring it all out onto the keys.
It just made me think, do you ever have like a bullshit day mood and you're like, ugh, and you just use your elbows to play that day or no?
That's when I write angry music.
Okay. I was just curious. I was just like, you like punch a baby if there was one there, that kind of day. I just want to know how that lands on the keys, but I guess you just read.
Those are the days that Mistress Harley's like, give me your car.
That's right. I'll crash it. Mistress Harley, what goes in the backpack?
I mean, lipstick and collaboration, I think, because it's even in doing interviews like this with you or doing my TV appearances, like those collaborative efforts just expose my brand to more people. And of course, it's not everyone that's going to be like, oh, financial domination, that's exciting. But there are enough people. And once you explain the concept to them and they start to think about it, just like a virus, once it gets in you, it's hard to get out. And if that appeals to you, I've opened a whole new world for you. So yeah, collaboration and lipstick.
I like the pairing. Well, my grandmother was not really one for lipstick, but I will say there was a few times in my life when I saw her wear it, and once was kind of scandalous.